Hello, this is Noise Commander. Long time no see. I wasn't in the mood for making videos for a while, but I'm feeling better. So what I want to show you is my streaming app from last time. It got a little more, polished, I would say. So you see it has a transparent background and, background image basically. So in OBS I can then some sort of composite something under it, like so. If I'm starting Noise Commander, then there's a button where I can say I want to connect and screencast. So then it'll tell me to enter an IP address, and boom, there we are. So now everything I do here is shown on the big screen, and it's easier to film. And you see like this little highlighting of buttons when I press them, etc. So that's good news. Then I have bad news and bad news. So I'm gonna start with the bad news. The bad news is that I didn't continue working on the actual app in the meantime. And the other bad news is I didn't make any music with it either. And I guess that's kind of the crux. How can I expect anyone to be excited about the app if I'm not able to demonstrate how to make something cool with it? So that's something to do in the future. What I can do is just load something I made a longer while ago. Here we hear the one of the Pikmin beats I made, and I'm just changing the length to 128 steps. I know that this is somewhat longer. It's not exactly that I did nothing, but only a few bug fixes. So yeah, it had to do with the instruments, like just making sure that when playing pads here, that they actually use the instrument that is in the pattern. So there's like two buttons here. They're kind of not very user intuitive or user friendly, so I'm not sure if it's even worth explaining. But I guess now that I started it, just quickly, like something I just added also yesterday is that I can display the mouse cursor with F4 if I want, in case I want to show something on the upper screen or so. So yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and these two buttons here at the bottom. Let me use that feature. So yeah, one of the buttons, I think I explained it last time, is that when you touch so yeah, it's sort of just like a pickup. So the last cell you touched will be selecting that instrument in this instrument editor and for the pads to be played. But then I realized that because I have like this select random sample feature that I like to use to apply to the entire pattern, but that kind of didn't work as before, since I made that refactor of the trackification. And so now there's this new button here that basically just selects whatever the last played instrument was in the on each track separately, will also be the selected instrument that is played by the pads. It's all a bit of a mess, so I'll have to rethink everything. the main point that I wanted to make in this video is that I feel a bit depressed about making YouTube videos. Just, you know, like once you create a YouTube channel, it's like you have more to worry than before. Like now suddenly you have the things to fulfill, like a video upload schedule or whatnot. And I tried to upload videos weekly for a while, and sometimes I kind of was able to do it. But yeah, just even though I don't think my videos are like top-notch quality or like have any like extreme editing or something or anything like that, it still is pretty much work and stressful. I think I'm kind of just stressing myself, so it's all in my head, fulfilling perceived expectations. I think I will try to avoid making implicit or creating implicit expectations. So I don't want you to expect anything, and I don't make any promises in terms of the progress of the app. Like the only thing I can promise is that if you sign up on Patreon and chip in a euro or a dollar, then you will be able to install and download a version, like the current version. I can't like make promises about time-specific progress or like this and that feature, or like when I will release a version. The one thing I want to add though is giving you the ability to install a work-in-progress build, or what usually is called experimental, where it's not baked, so you will get like whatever is like my current status, but it will have the risk of the file format becoming invalid or being not consistent. So it may be that you save files that will not be loadable by the next official version. Yeah, so it would be like, risky, bleeding edge, experimental. But sometimes I feel like in this scenario, I got 3 new Patreons in the last 2 weeks, which is amazing. But now I feel guilty because they probably expected to get the tracker interface. It works, but it also doesn't work in many ways. But at least I want them, or I want you to be able to try it out. I have been sort of holding back that version because it's work in progress and very unfinished. Anyway, let's assume you would have this version. Something you can do is change the lower screen to something else by holding select and going sideways. So here, there's I call it performance or pet mode, and the Euclidean sequencer. So here then it becomes a way of selecting the track in the upper screen, as you see, which is particularly handy if you're in the detailed view, where you can pretty much only see 1 or 2 tracks at the time. Yeah, this thing here, if it's on select, then it doesn't trigger the sample when a pad is pressed. Otherwise, you would hear the sound. And then you can also record stuff. Although, surprisingly, I don't see anything. Okay, some funky stuff is happening. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's broken. Yeah, so once again, I just want to stress that I don't want to pretend this to be like a competitive product against, let's say, the M8 tracker or any iPad app or whatever. It's just a hobby and a passionate, that is, something I'm working on, and you should probably not expect this to be any near usable within the next 12 months or so, and maybe even then it will be half finished or not done. Having said that, I really enjoy the process, and I think that's the most important thing for myself. Hopefully the videos will be somewhat enjoyable too. So the other thing is, like last weekend I was exploring this feature. It's called UDS. I forgot, to be honest, what it stands for. It's the thing, like the sort of the local Wi-Fi mode where 2 3DSs can, like communicate without the requirement of an external router. And I wanted to be able to transfer files, and it turned out to be a bit tricky. I wanted to show you the UDS example that comes with DevKit Pro by default. So this will look for a network 10 times, and if it doesn't find one, then it will create a new network sort of server thing. And then if you start the app on the second or third 3DS, it will connect, and then it will transmit any sort of button presses. Oh, I shouldn't have pressed A. Damn it. Let's do it again. Yeah, so if I press start or select, you see this will receive it, and otherwise, if I do it here, this will receive it. And it's sort of a broadcast mode, so I could have a third or fourth, like I think up to 16 3DSs can be connected. Yeah, I wanted to transfer a file with this and see what the data rate would be, and I found out. So here comes my version. I just spent, I think, more than a day messing around and stuff. It was a bit more tricky than expected. So here, if I press Y, this guy will say, it's going to receive a file, and X will send a file, and it's currently hard-coded to a particular file. And you can see the data rate is always somewhat around 200 to almost 300 kilobytes per second. That is the best case scenario. You see they are right next to each other. I did a few tests to see what happens if I leave the room, and yeah, like the rate drops. I think after like 4 or 5 meters it drops pretty quickly to almost zero. So yeah, I think you need to be like 4 or 5 meters close to each other. So what's great about this is that it works if you're in a forest or in the nature and you want to swap or transfer a file. I can imagine like I'm jamming, then the battery of the first one is empty, and I want to continue on the next one that has like still a full battery, assuming I don't have like spare batteries. I mean, you have to unscrew like the thing if you want to swap the battery, so it's not very practical, blah blah blah. So yeah, so you could just transfer it over and continue working on the other one. Or, if you have buddies around, noise commander buddies, noise commanders, then you could like swap files and work together. Just one other thing on the Patreon side of things, there is now a chat feature also in the browser. So, I guess if you want, just hop in here and say something. Yeah, on the UI side, there's something a bit hidden. Like if I press select and down, I get to this effects editing area where I can select the 4 buses. I think currently everything is routed to bus 1. And here, I have like the filter. I don't know if I showed this. But so you see like this sort of pie chart, Pac-Man kind of thing. The idea is that once you press your dial or button, you have to rotate around the center of the screen to change the value. So that's why it's drawing this white line. And I kind of concluded that I think it should be a general UI thing, because the big advantage is that this way I can fit way more parameters to the screen compared to when it is. Let me see. When I have like these kind of sliders, the problem is if I touch on this side, I can't go further to the right. So I have to kind of touch here, and I don't know, like it's difficult to explain. I mean, this is sort of relative, so it's not so bad. I can touch here and still do the thing. But yeah, the idea with this is that like I think I could put in like fit 64 just little squares, just numbers, and then, you know, like no matter if this thing is in a corner or in the center, like you can always have control of the entire range. I hope that makes sense. But it's really annoying in practice that this pie chart sort of display is occluded by my finger in the bottom screen. So what I was meant to say is that I want to sort of use this more in a more generalized way, and have the pie chart display at the top screen sort of as an overlay to whatever is currently being displayed. I think that will be kind of cool. I'm just going to mess with the effects a little bit. So there's this distortion. You have to set it to certain, up in a certain way. And then we can add delay if we want. So the delay and reverb are global effects, so you have only one instance of each. And then the cutoff, the filter, and the distortion, they are per bus, and there are 4 buses, and the buses are shared between the left and right decks. But I was thinking that I haven't really figured the automation, the like parameter automation. I mean, technically a lot of things are in place to make it work, but just like the logical problem is that currently the automation on both decks would be controlling like a single effect instance. So which one should take precedence, or like should I have like some mode where you have to tell like now the right side gets controlled or the left side gets controlled. But of course you would expect that you have separate instances on each deck that are controlled by their respective perimeter automation. But I'm just worried that performance-wise it might be too much to take, or too much for the 2DS or 3DS to handle. But I yet need to do a stress test, so it might actually be okay, but I'm always worried about performance, because now even you see it's only at it's showing only like 20 or like let's say 30% CPU usage. It gets cranked up pretty quickly when you use a second track. So here, that's what I wanted to share. Show. So yeah, I'll have to see. The companion app that is currently showing the stream, I want to make that available on GitHub, just so that people can compile it on other operating systems, as I'm sort of a Linux only guy, and I don't think I have a way to compile on Mac. So it's a Qt5 app, and let me know in the comments, or like if you wanna chime in and then build it for another operating system. So I have more plans for the companion app, mainly file transfer. So it should have some sort of FTP or file management way to connect to your 3DS, because that's something that's a bit annoying currently to do, like just because of you have to leave the app, go to the FTP app and forth and back, etc. The next thing would be MIDI forwarding through Wi-Fi. You can see here the latency and everything seems to be pretty good, but there would be dropouts, so it probably wouldn't be like super duper reliable, but if the MIDI clock system would sort of interpolate and sort of compensate dropouts, like short dropouts, it might be still pretty good just to sync, because I think there's really no other way to sync the clock to other devices. Yeah, but other exciting possibilities would be if you have two 3DSs, then the second 2DS could act sort of as a second controller for parameters on the touchscreen. And beyond that, I was also thinking like maybe I can somehow incorporate the whole me system or friend system. Oh yeah, and I also got a new 2DS, which is this Pikachu edition. Way! Thanks for checking out the video, and hope to see you soon. Bye bye.